Every so often we get a game that comes out where I look at it and I think, wow, this is truly something else. And we get that with a new game that got announced from the Epic Game Store called Relooted. It is an African futurist heist game where you reclaim real African looted artifacts from Western museums. Start out with my name's Ojiro. I've been a game developer for a little while now. And first off, if I had made this game and launched it, everyone would be attacking me and saying that I am a terrible human being and that this is super stereotyping because it is a game where you are black people that are stealing things. So I am blown away that this is even something that people looked at and said, yes, we need to spend money and time on this. But all the racism aside, like I saw all that and I thought this is pretty amazing. I wanted to go over this thing that I find kind of ridiculous from this whole idea of like Western countries that have like looted things. Because we hear that a lot from certain individuals that are insisting, oh, if you have an artifact that belongs to like another continent, then that should go to those people, no questions asked. It just, that's where it belongs. So I'm going to throw up some footage of Splitgate that I took, and let's talk a little bit about some of this artifact ownership and the absurdities behind this whole concept that, or the thing that actually really bothers me the most, because the whole thing about the game itself, I'm actually not surprised in this day and age. I think we all know that there are a lot of games that are currently in development that are going to be universally mocked, that were a good idea back when it was greenlit in the era of a lot of absurd ideas and ideologies being considered to be the thing that you had to do, like, you know, Duskborn. So getting straight into it. So with something like Relooted, where it's talking about getting these artifacts out of Africa, we've got it's not super simple to say like, oh, well, this was from Africa, it needs to go back to Africa. Africa is a gargantuan continent. Like it is like Texas sized in terms of like when you are looking at a continent compared to other continents. There's so many different cultures, and if you look at the map now on like anything, it is dramatically different from what the map looked like 100 years ago or 200, 300 years ago. There are huge changes that happen inside this continent. It is a very volatile continent. So for some of these things, you've got artifacts that were purchased from some of these countries. Some of these countries that may not even exist anymore, where they had acquired them from. And those countries that don't exist anymore, they may span multiple modern day countries. So even if you were to say, hey, this artifact thing, cultural item needs to go back to Africa, where? What country is the one that should get it? If there's a kingdom that spans multiple countries, it's not so simple as, oh, just ship it back over to Africa. First off, what country in Africa? Second off, is that artifact or that item going to be protected if it is sent to that country? A lot of the things that I look at for Africa is, you know, the stability. And Africa, just the past 10 years, has had so many coups. It is not a place where we can simply say, "Oh yeah, this is totally great, everything's fine," because there is something that is called the coup belt, where there are a number of countries where it is just consistently in, you know, really terrible turmoil. And you know, one can look at the artifacts and say, "Oh, well, you know, but the artifacts." But I'm looking at it thinking like there are millions of people that can potentially lose their lives, you know, on this continent from these kinds of conflicts. So to say, oh, well, just give it to these countries where there's a lot of instability, I think is a huge disservice to these items that are part of the story of mankind, basically. Because even though everyone has their own cultures and they have their own history, like there is human history itself. We span the globe. We have very different things that we have produced in certain areas, different you know, creation myths, different temples, different everything. And call me crazy, but I think that should be protected, right? Like I don't think anyone wants to see, you know, swaths of human history that are just erased. I found it to be really awful when some extremist groups in the Middle East decided to start destroying temples that had existed for like over 1,000 years. It was a huge loss, not just to the people that lived there, but a huge loss to all of mankind to lose these relics that were so old that we could, you know, in theory, if the countries were stable, go and visit them. But no, we don't get that opportunity because there are people that are, and particularly in Africa and in the Middle East, where there's a lot of instability, where they destroy a lot of these things that do not fit their religious worldviews. It's very absurd when these people talk about things like repatriating these things that they claim to have been looted. And I'm sure you can point to some of them and say, oh, this was like legit stolen and like smuggled out of a place. But the fix for that is to have the, country A talk to country B and say, hey, can you return this? Can we come up with some kind of thing to, maintain this? And this is something that's happened with Western museums where we've had these things where other countries will say, hey, this is ours. And it's just a political matter. Like they talk to each other. The country may talk to the other country and their representatives and say, hey, we want to get this item back here. They may say, we want to make sure that these things are protected so that they don't just go there and get destroyed, which is a very reasonable thing if your whole goal is to protect human history, which is what some of these museums that have these artifacts intend on doing. I don't have too much to talk about others other than to say how frustrating it is to see this thing boil down to this base. First, they got the racist tones to the whole thing, but also the whole practical matter of the thing where it's just, this is not so simple a thing. And this idea that, oh, well, if we just steal them, we fix things. No, you don't get to steal things that aren't yours. If a museum has paid for something from another country and that country says, actually, we want to buy it back, that museum is not required to sell it back to the original country. That's not how selling things work. I don't get to buy something, or none of us just buy something from a store and then have the company say, actually, you need to return that now. Like, no, I mean, I would like to say that's not a thing, but I feel like we're kind of on our way there with things like newer consoles coming out. It's a dark time. But yeah, this whole thing that we are looking at with this, there's so many layers of absurdity to the whole thing where it's super disappointing to see in 2025 of all times. But yeah, I look forward to potentially seeing some streamers playing in the future to widely mock it, which is what I assume is going to happen. But that's really all I got to say about this. I'm going to try and finish up some larger video that I've been working on. But life's been really busy and I got sick for a quick minute there, so I got a little behind. But thank you for your time, and I hope to see you again in a future video. Farewell.